3 hours, and we got a lot of news to talk about on this Tuesday.
All right, so first off, if you're looking for Griff Jenkins, don't look in this country. We have him on the road. The migrant caravan is going global as it heads towards the United States border.
Fox News has a first-hand look right outside a shelter housing thousands hoping to come to our doorstep.
All right, Griff Jenkins joins us on the ground right now from southern Mexico with more. Griff, where are you?
Well, Steve, Brian, Jed, good morning. I'm about 25 miles north of the Guatemala-Mexico border in the town of Tapachula. It's been the stop for the caravans since they started coming, but one thing is very different, and that is the word that our borders are open. The catch and release will let you stay in America has gone global. We've run into migrants from Africa, from India, from Bangladesh, from Haiti, from Cuba, and we've only been here for about 24 hours. We spoke to one gentleman, Safa Seydou is his name, from Cameroon. Here is how he got here. This is unbelievable. Listen.
I'm from Cameroon, and my journey, I started from Cameroon to Nigeria, from Nigeria to Turkish, from Turkish to Colombia, from Colombia to Panama, from Panama to Ecuador. From Ecuador, I start coming back now by boat, by a bus. I come and reach back to Colombia, and I take my boat. From Colombia, I arrive to Capogana. From Capogana, I walk in the jungle. From Capogana to Panama in the jungle. When I arrive Panama, I walk now from camp to camp. I left Panama to Costa Rica. From Costa Rica to Nicaragua. From Nicaragua to Honduras. From Honduras to Guatemala. From Guatemala to Mexico now.
And the goal is the same for all of them to get to the U.S. Now, this, just to give you a quick shot here, this is the shelter where, remember, just at the end of last week, guys, some 1,300 migrants escaped from here because Mexico is detaining the migrants in these shelters. It's overcrowded. If you look out here, these are the folks that couldn't even get in. They're sleeping in the streets. It's obviously still late here, but the challenge now is that the makeup of these caravan flows is not just the Central Americans from Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador, and to a lesser extent Nicaragua. Now it's just a mix of people from all over the planet, and this is obviously why ICE, CBP, and others are putting a lot of resources, more resources on the border, we're learning, to particularly combat that fake family unit. We've been talking to the immigration officials here, trying to find out if they're doing anything here in Mexico to try and expose fraudulent family units as well. Steve, Brian,
Wow,
Jen.
so you gave us the United Nations there, Griff. Were you surprised by what you saw and what you heard?
I was surprised, absolutely, but, you know, even more so, Brian, the Mexican officials here, we spoke for a long time off camera to one of the immigration officials here, and they said, listen, we really haven't seen this kind of flow. There is a heavy presence of Cubans, and that is significant because they've had Cubans for years and years and years, but not in these numbers right now, and there are no more visas. Before you could get a visa for, you know, up to a year, or particularly more so recently for about 20 days to try and go apply for asylum, but they're pretty much trying to cancel that right now because so many are coming and they want to keep them here in the southern part of Mexico. Wow. And it doesn't seem by any indication that the migrants have an interest in staying here.
Man, oh man. All right, Griff, thank you very much. Great reporting today. It is given that the President of the United States last night, the White House, released a memo, and the whole idea is he's asking the Attorney General and the Acting Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security to propose regulations within the next 3 months that would change the way asylum cases are handled. And the reason that asylum cases are so tricky is because it's hard to handle the families, because when there are children involved, there are different rules.
Yeah, and that memo from the president reads, quote, our immigration and asylum system is in crisis as a consequence of the mass migration of aliens across our southern border. The purpose of this memorandum is to strengthen asylum procedures to safeguard our system against rampant abuse of our asylum process.
And here's what what I love. I love he's not doing comprehensive, because comprehensive doesn't go anywhere. It just helps you politically, perhaps. But this is something to help right away. This is called governing as opposed to politics. Here you go. Fees for asylum applicants. I don't know how much cash these men and women have when they cross the border, but they better have some now.
That's a problem. That first one's the problem.
I think so. Address all asylum applications within 180 days. I don't know how you do that, because we don't have enough judges now. I guess we have to go through a different process. Streamline court proceedings, okay. Prohibit illegal border crossers from receiving work permits. And finally, revoke work authorization for illegal aliens ordered for deportation. So if you want a work visa, it doesn't matter your work ethic or how much we have a need in this country, you have to do it the right way.
Yeah.
So, but once again, it's, these rules regarding work impact the people who are in the country illegally. There is nothing there to impact the people in this country who hire the people who work illegally in this country. So in other words, people come across our southern border and they get jobs here.
Yeah, I really admire the attempt on the part of the president. I think, Brian, as you said before, everyone always talks about comprehensive immigration reform, which accomplishes nothing. And this particular,
they never vote
does
on
nothing.
It, they never agree.
Does nothing. It's a campaign talking point. But this issue of addressing all asylum applications within 180 days, I think, is super important. But it almost seems like in order to accomplish these goals, there needs to be a better infrastructure in place behind this. You need, more judges. You need so many things to be happening simultaneously with this that although it is some practical measures have been outlined, this whole system needs to be revamped through and through, even to make this possible, these measures.
It's aspirational. Right now, there are 800,000 cases pending. The wait time is currently almost 2 years. And while the White House can put out this memorandum, there's going to be a swift legal challenge, and this is going to wind up being litigated in the courts. Mark Morgan, who worked as a Border Patrol chief during the Obama administration, says it's all about, regarding these family units, it's all about them being able to figure out our laws and the loopholes in our laws.
They know you grab a kid because of our broken laws, you're in. And they also fully understand the rewards and the shielding and protection they get from these sanctuary cities. Congress has failed the United States of America. Congress has failed to do their job. They could fix this in 15 minutes. All they have to do is legislative fixes for the Flores Settlement Agreement and TVPRA. Catch and release ends, and 85% of the humanitarian crisis goes away. This is absolutely at Congress's feet.
And look, as you saw, 60 Minutes, the New York Times lead liberal columnists, Senator Cory Booker, Senator Dick Durbin, and, more than a handful now of Democrats have said it's a crisis. My hope is when leadership gets together at the White House, they talk about infrastructure, they keep the doors closed, and then they segue right to this. They make it a joint announcement, don't give anybody credit or discredit, and go ahead and solve this problem. That's my hope. My fingers are crossed. Meanwhile, 8 minutes after the hour, let's talk about politics. We'll